They look like royalty, red carpets, perfect smiles, a love story we all think we know. But here is the turn. Michael Douglas is 80, and he finally speaks about his marriage to Catherine Zeta-Jones. People call it a fairy tale. He says the truth is hard work. That hits different when it comes from a two-time Oscar winner who has lived decades in the business. He gave us Gordon Gekko in Wall Street. He rode the heat of Fatal Attraction and Basic Instinct. Catherine rose with The Mask of Zorro and won an Academy Award for Chicago. Power couple, right? Still, fame does not protect a home. They married in 2000, and in 2025, they reached 25 years together. That is rare in Hollywood. I am Sarah Reed, and you are watching Golden American Legends. In this video, I walk you through their rise, the struggles behind closed doors, the separation, the reunion, and the truth Michael shares at 80. What he admits is not what fans expect. It is simpler. It is more real. Did you ever expect a 25-year Hollywood marriage to be messy? Yes or no? Stay with me because the reality check starts now, and next we step into the first cracks behind the polished photos. Everyone saw the smiling couple, the gowns, the tuxes, the glow. But behind the door, life was not soft. In 2010, Michael faced throat cancer. He went through radiation and chemotherapy. Later, he said he felt fortunate to avoid a surgery that could have changed his jaw and voice. That is a heavy sentence for any actor. In 2011, Catherine shared that she lives with bipolar 2 disorder. That means real mood swings and real management day by day. The world was watching. The tabloids spun stories off a stray health remark and made it louder than life. None of that eases a family's load. If you have loved someone through illness, you know the long nights and the careful words. They tried to keep steady for their children while their careers kept rolling. That is not a fairy tale. That is Great and Grace in the dark. These storms did not show on the red carpet, but they wore on the home, and the weight kept building until one year everything nearly snapped. Next, we hit the moment when pressure and silence turned into a public split that shocked fans and friends alike. Then came the jolt. In August of 2013, after 13 years of marriage, Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones announced a separation. The official words were simple: personal differences. The deeper truth was harder. Months of recovery, the fear of cancer returning, the hard work of managing mental health, and the grind of fame all stacked up. Rumors tried to hand out blame. They did not take the bait. Instead, they went quiet. Inside that quiet were two children to protect. Dylan was 13 and Karis was 10. Friends say therapy and boundaries became the plan. By late that year, many people were sure the marriage was over. The press kept asking for an ending, but homes do not end on a headline. They end, or they heal, in long, private talks. From where I sit, this was their most human valley. Two people, tired, proud, and scared, deciding what kind of future they want. It felt like the final chapter, and yet, just months later, the story turned again. The next act was not a court fight, but a careful bridge back to each other, built one honest step at a time. By spring of 2014, surprise, they were back together. No courtroom duel, no public blame game, just quiet work at home. Michael told a television outlet they were very united and that things were going very well. Soon, reports said they planned to renew their vows by September of that year. How does a near break become a bridge? Communication, therapy, patience, putting the kids first. Dylan was 14 and Karis was 11. The family reset the clock. I love that part of the story because it is simple and brave. The hard talk is the love. You show up, you listen, you forgive, you try again tomorrow. Quick pause and a small ask from me. If you care about deep, honest stories from classic Hollywood, please subscribe and share. It helps this channel keep digging into the real history behind the shine. Back to the story. After the storm, the house stood. The headlines cooled, and the next chapter waited, not with scandal, but with a quiet confession at 80 that explains how this marriage survived the heat and learned to breathe again. Now he speaks plainly, not to chase rumors, not to score points, just to tell the life he lived. At a major film festival in July of 2025, Michael reflected on his marriage and his choices. He said he has not worked since 2022 on purpose. He is not racing from set to set. He is choosing days with meaning. He also smiled and said he likes seeing how his wife works. It is a small line, but it tells a big truth about respect and admiration. He talked about being happy and feeling fortunate after his cancer fight. The tone was gratitude. No trophies in the air, no spin. When you strip away the noise, his admission is clear. Long love takes effort. They had tough years. They stayed. They learned. They rebuilt. And today, he calls their life happy. That is not a bombshell. It is a grown man's truth. The words land softly because they were lived. So why share them now? The answer sits in the room where he said them, in a space built to honor cinema and the people who keep its light burning. Why speak at 80? The setting matters. Michael was in the Czech Republic at the Karlovy Vary International Film Festival. He was there to honor the 50th anniversary of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, a film he co-produced. That classic won 5 Oscars and helped shape the language of modern film. Stand in a hall like that and you feel time. You see your wins, your misses, your people. Journalists asked about his life, and he answered from that place. Not a press release, a reflection. He talked about stepping back from work by choice and about the simple joy of watching Catherine work. The message was gratitude and balance. When legacy is the theme, honesty gets easier. You do not need to perform the myth anymore. You can just name what lasted and why. For Michael, the marriage lasted because they did the slow work when the house shook. That is a powerful use of a spotlight, and it leads us to what you and I can carry home from their story, far from premieres and flashbulbs, but close to the promises we keep every day.
A quarter century can teach you things, not theory, practice. From their journey, I keep 3 words in front of me: patience, communication, forgiveness. They did not pretend their home was perfect. They named the hard parts. They asked for help. They slowed down when they needed air. They marked a fresh start with renewed vows. Those are small actions that add up to trust. Any long marriage is a daily choice, not a movie montage. Support shows up in the dull hours. Honesty shows up in the tense ones. I also hear something wise in Michael's pause from constant work. Space can be a gift. Focus can be love. And respect grows when you celebrate your partner's craft. That is why his line about liking how Catherine works feels so warm. These lessons are not glitzy. They are simple and repeatable. If you want love to last, do the work when no one is clapping. Own the mess. Share the load. Then try again tomorrow. With that, the way we see this couple shifts from glossy myth to something sturdier and far more useful. After his words at 80, their image changes. Not just glossy, human, strong. They are now a picture of endurance, not perfection. In November of 2025, they reached 25 years of marriage, a rare silver mark in Hollywood. Their children are grown. Dylan is 25 and Karis is 21. You can feel their steady support. Professionally, Michael is selective now. He works when it matters. Catherine keeps acting, just as she has since her breakout in The Mask of Zorro and her Oscar-winning turn in Chicago. When I look at Michael's full arc, from Gordon Gekko's razor edge to a wise elder speaking with gratitude, I see a legacy that blends success with humility. His late-life honesty wins respect because it rings true. The headline is not fairy tale love, it is resilient love. The truth he asks us to accept is simple and strong. They did not float above the storm. They walked through it together. That is the frame I will hold the next time I see them on a red carpet, calm and smiling after all that weather. We just stepped beyond the headlines. Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones are not a perfect story. They are a real one. They faced cancer, bipolar disorder, a public separation, and then a rebuild. They talked, they forgave, they stayed. At 80, Michael does not dress it up. He says they are happy because they did the work. That truth feels richer than any fairy tale. I am Sarah Reed. Thanks for watching Golden American Legends. For more true stories from Hollywood's golden thread, please subscribe. It helps me keep bringing you the context, the voices, and the heart behind the legends you love. Which lesson from their journey hit you most? Forgiveness, patience, communication, or something else? Thank you for being here, for caring about the people behind the pictures, and for keeping these stories alive by watching, liking, and sharing. See you in the next deep dive.